Chickadee, YouTube, it's your boy Jersey here, and as you can see, we'll be talking about that old manga idea that I'm turning into a book. With that being said, this video is going to be kind of vague. It's going to be more like power system and how it's going to function, less like super heavy narrative or super heavy like character focused. With that being said, most of the inspiration I draw from is anime related because it's supposed to be a manga. And let's just jump right into it. So I took my three main favorite anime, which is the big three. I took one thing from each of them and created the idea for this book off of that. And that is, I took Jinchurikis from Naruto, I took Zanpakutos from Bleach, and I took the fact that the story is told through the Straw Hats from One Piece, in order to make effectively a world where spirit animals hold unique powers tied to the soul, and every person alive has one, barring a few people that do not, but we will not touch on that yet. But with that being said, yes, spirit animals does mean that effectively whatever animal I want to use, I can use. Like if I wanted to make a penguin for whatever reason, I can do that. I do have 41 royal clans that are effectively the mainstays. They're going to be on the main continent. They're going to be the main clans that we're going to have to deal with. I don't feel like giving you guys a full-on description of the clans. I'll just tell you the clans that are there on the main clans, the royal clans. Each one of these has a representative in government, so like it's gonna take forever for them to, decide on things, but that's besides the point. There's lions, tigers, leopards, cheetahs, jaguars, wolves, foxes, coyotes, wild dogs, eagles, hawks, owls, parrots, peacocks, crocodiles, Komodo dragons, snakes, salmon, trout, bass, catfish, bears, elephants, horses, deer, frogs, salamanders, newts, pelican, cranes, and storks are all tied into one. Walruses, turtles, sloths, moles, and worms are also tied together. Butterflies, bees, ants, dragonflies, ladybugs, fireflies, mantises, and termites. All of those are tied into effectively one large, effectively royal clan. Not royal clan. They're effectively all royalty. Sorry. And there are 9 clans that are on the main continent that aren't tied into this royal clan. I haven't decided on all of them. I've decided on 3. I know I'm doing ravens, I know I'm doing spiders, and I know I'm doing hyenas at some point. But I don't know. And I think I might do flamingos as well. And yeah. Some things worth noting. Horses includes donkeys and zebras. Just throwing that out there. But it does include both of those. Wild dogs is everything from African wild dogs to straight up domesticated wild dogs, effectively. Like, you know what I mean by domesticated wild dogs. Like, if I wanted to make a golden retriever, I can do that if I really wanted to. Probably not, but I could. Things like that. And there are other continents. These are just the ones that are on the main continent, the first continent. And no, I didn't use any primates. There's a reason for it. They have been effectively exiled. And there are a couple things worth noting. For example, each of the clans kind of have their own fighting style. I'm not going to say that I'm going to come up with the martial arts for every clan, but for example, wolves are mostly sword fighters. The bears are hand-to-hand and can use great swords, things of that nature. And each one of the clans has a different set of magical tolerance. For example, the lowest is the bears, which have no magical tolerance. They effectively did something. One of the first ever bears did something in the past that caused them to be removed from the goddess's wishes, so they cannot use magic at all. And the one with the highest is owls. And I want to say, I could be wrong, but I think frogs are also really high. Both of those are, and elephants. Elephants are also really high. Both of those have their own unique magical properties that they like to use. Like, for example, elephants specialize in earth, that sort of thing. But on top of that, as I mentioned, each one of them have spirit animals, so they're also going to have like spirit animal powers tied to like basically their souls, Arpecto type thing. That doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily always true. Tier 1 is more like a classification type buff that the person gets just by having the spirit animal. It happens for everyone regardless of whether or not they are using their spirit animal currently, and that is always applied, always taken effect. It is basically a passive ability just by having a spirit animal, and it is known as tier 1, and that is awakening. Just by having it, they will always have it active. And spirit animal powers don't start setting in until a person is around 12, 13. So on that note, younger characters don't have this active, but most of the older characters are always have this active. I haven't decided on what I'm going to do for all of them yet, since this is like, I've been doing this for like maybe 3 days. But I do know that felines are probably going to get better eyesight. Canines are probably going to get better hearing. Fish are going to get the ability to breathe underwater, with the stipulation that freshwater fish can only breathe in freshwater and saltwater fish can only breathe in saltwater. I know that amphibians are probably going to gain some like water movement buff, or like a hydration buff, where if they're doused in water, they gain some kind of buff. I have not decided what I'm going to do with reptiles. Birds are going to gain flight. I haven't decided what I'm going to do for insects. Probably poison resistance, because most insects are heavily resistant to poison, and can adapt to poisons very easily. But I haven't decided yet. That's probably what I'm going to do for insects, but I haven't decided. With that being said, that is tier 1. Tier 2 is communion, which is effectively Shikai from Bleach, where you know your spirit animal's name, which allows you to draw forth power from it. These powers are going to be typically stipulated, just like Shikai's are. They're not going to be super broken like Bankai's. And the example I'm going to use is for, he's not a super strong character, but it is the only character that I have completely done with all the tier systems listed out. And that is, there is a specific member of the Hawk clan who, when he hits tier 2, he gains the ability to control wind. That is his Shikai. Like I said, it's very, very basic. And then level 3 is Symbiosis, which is Bankai. At that point, he gains the ability to control weather. He can cause thunderstorms, but he cannot produce electricity on its own. And then number 4 is Unison, which is effectively almost like sort of you fuse with your spirit animal of choice, and it causes you to fight as one. It doesn't necessarily add any enhancements to the abilities. It effectively just makes them to where it's basically like Ultra Instinct, where they're not necessarily thinking, they're unleashing their combat attacks with maximum efficiency and also precision if that's their thing. So that's kind of how that system's going to work. One of the things I want to note on is the fact that the characters are also going to be written in a way that they might have character reasons as to why their ability works the way that it does. Like, for example, I have a character that is a mantis that is basically self-deprecating all the time. And her main power is the fact that she has emotion control. So she uses her spirit effectively uses its power to cause people around her to laugh at her. That's kind of one of the things that happens. But that is one of the drawbacks of, the character. But with that being said, as far as the power system goes, they will, like I said, they will also have, like the spirit animal. They will also have like the main combat, hand-to-hand thing, and I think that's effectively it. As far as power system goes, I didn't say, but the power system itself is going to be called Spiritus Arcanium. And is there anything else I want to note on in this video specifically? I don't think so. No, I don't want to do characters yet. I'll do characters in their own separate video. I'll do world building in its own separate video. I think I've touched on everything I want to touch on. If I missed anything, I might either make another video or post it in the comment section, but I think we got through everything without me getting off track. That's actually impressive. Oh no, one thing I wanted to add. That's what I knew I was forgetting something. One thing I wanted to add. There are quote unquote legendary creatures, which are effectively mythical creatures, that some of them can use tier 4 at will. Tier 4 is more like a time-based thing where you can use it either a certain amount of times if you're really, really good, or a certain amount of time before you pass out or die. It's kind of like an ultra power boost. Less of ultra instinct, more of like an ultra power boost, where you have run the risk of being overwritten by your spirit if your spirit is malicious enough, but that's besides the point. But like, let me get back on track. The legendary creatures, for one of the main ones, or one of the ones you'll meet very early, is the Blue Flame Phoenix. She is basically just a phoenix, but has lived so long that her flames are hotter than usual, hotter than most phoenixes. There will be other phoenixes as well, but she is the mythical version of a phoenix. There will be a dire wolf at some point, a basilisk, things of that nature. So like, yes, there are mythical creatures that gain additional abilities on top of that, all the way down to tier 1. They gain additional abilities on top of tier 1. Like, for example, at tier 1, the Blue Flame Phoenix has the ability of flight as well as the ability to produce flames. Very basic shit, you know what I'm saying? And they gain an additional ability on top of their normal ability. That type thing. Like, for example, she can't die, but she also gains the ability to control flames. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. But those, honestly, they're probably not going to fight for very long until we get the power level of the enemies up, or mainly the main cast up. And the main cast, one more thing I want to mention on, it's about 10 deep, I think. There's wolf, snake, bear, bass, mantis, a lion, dragon, might be forgetting something, dragon, snow owl princess, yes. Wait, so wolf, bear, snake, snow owl, frog, dragon, lion, mantis, bass. So 9? I thought it was 10. Hang on. No, it's 9. Yeah, because I definitely didn't do it. Oh, no, it is 10. It is 10. I did forget to write the backstory of one of the characters, but it is Tin. The last one, I'm not gonna say what she is because it is a major plot device. But that's besides the point. Maybe in the character video I'll talk about it, but for now I'm gonna leave that one and not talk about it now. But with that being said, I think that's it. I think that's it in terms of power system stuff that I want to talk about. At least I gave you guys a slight understanding of how the power system works. If I need to explain it more, I will. And I gave you the rundown of the show itself, or the book itself. And I mentioned the mythical creatures thing, and even mentioned how many members of the team there are. With that being said, I think I'm out. Peace out!